who would use the deaths of children for gain, politics, or fame. And while his ex-wife called the first part of that tweet a lie, it appears, at the very least, the second part of that tweet definitely was. Because over the weekend, he ran a poll asking, reinstate Alex Jones on this platform? And as far as his complete 180 on this, writing, I vehemently disagree with what he said about Sandy Hook, but are we a platform that believes in freedom of speech or are we not? That is what it comes down to in the end. If the people vote him back on, this will be bad for X financially, but principles matter more than money. And ultimately, the results came in 70% in favor, and so Jones got his account back, with Musk even welcoming him back by throwing a little party, holding a Spaces event with Jones, Andrew Tate, Vivek Ramaswamy, Donald Trump's former national security advisor Mike Flynn, and a whole slew of others. And according to Twitter's metrics, over 10 million people have listened to the conversation, though it's also hard to tell how accurate or inflated that number is. But that said, there were a few standout moments. You had Ramaswamy forgetting to mute his mic and taking a big old piss. You also had Tate praising Elon.
Elon is a hero, absolutely. And the risks you are taking, Elon, I don't think many people at home actually understand the gravity of the risks you are taking.
Alex Jones also addressing his comments on Sandy Hook and also claiming that moving forward,
I plan to be extremely careful, and that doesn't mean that I'm letting the censors dampen what I say or what I do. I just realize anything I say or do, they're going to try to twist. And so I'm really going to try to not let Elon's gamble down or any of the people that supported me's gamble down.
But as far as what it's actually going to look like, that remains to be seen. We'll have to wait to see how it plays out. But in the meantime, as far as reactions, of course, obviously, there are plenty of people that are happy about this move and Alex Jones's return. We also have plenty of people calling Musk a hypocritical asshole, saying that he's a coward, that he's scared of this far-right audience that he's accrued over the last few years. And people arguing Elon is lifting up conspiracy theorists and criminals, giving them his platform while admitting it will be bad for business. Free speech does not apply to social media and companies. Elon is choosing to ignore the terms of service he holds others to in favor of right-wing propaganda under the guise of freedom. Sandy Hook happened. Elon is a hypocrite. Alex Jones is a trash human being. Twitter/X is failing because of Elon. And others saying defamation is not free speech, which is why judges in different states have come to the same conclusion. Alex Jones violated his victims' First Amendment rights, and he owes them $1.5 billion. But with all that said, and I want to pass the question off to you, what are your thoughts here? What's your opinion on Elon Musk bringing Alex Jones back? And then, what the actual hell is going on with Smile Direct Club? That is what people have been shouting from the rooftops because Smile Direct Club is shutting down and its customers are pissed. And for those that don't know, the company sold teeth aligners as a cheaper, faster alternative to braces. It was founded back in 2014, and the way that it would work, customers would make a mold of their teeth using an at-home kit sent by the company, or they'd go and have their teeth scanned at a retail location. The mold of the scans would then be reviewed by orthodontists and dentists within the Smile Direct Club network, and customers would then pay around $1,800 for the aligners. And all in all, the treatment would take between 4 and 6 months to complete with online check-ins with dentists throughout. And all of this while also promising a lifetime smile guarantee in the form of free touch-ups after your treatment. So very interesting, sounds great on paper, but it hasn't exactly been smooth sailing for them. Or their services have been criticized for years by dental professionals. They've had to spend a lot of time and money battling lawsuits accusing them of false advertising and violating FDA regulations. In fact, earlier this year, they had to settle a lawsuit with the DC Attorney General's office because they had a non-disclosure provision in their return policy that the AG said blocked harmed customers from filing complaints with regulators and law enforcement. And this on top of, the little thing. The company has never actually been profitable. In fact, they had $900 million in debt this September when they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, with then their last-ditch rescue plan failing, and now they've announced they're shutting down. So what that also means is that their lifetime smile guarantee, that's done. Any outstanding shipments, those have been canceled, and anyone who wants to continue treatment should reach out to a local dentist. And all of this as there's currently no information about refunds, though the company is saying there will be more information to come once the bankruptcy process determines next steps and additional measures customers can take. But then also, here's the really fun thing. If you started a payment plan with the company, you are expected to finish your payments until the full amount is paid, despite the company essentially no longer existing. So you currently have people essentially donating to the "we can't run a fucking business" fund, because there are reportedly customers who started their payment plans but haven't even received their aligners yet. One of those poor souls telling the BBC, "It's not right that I'm expected to pay such a large sum of money even though I didn't receive any treatment or merchandise from them." And then beyond the money question, many customers are mad about the lack of communication from the company, with one such broken-toothed Tina telling the BBC that she only found out that the company was shutting down from TikTok. And understand, this wasn't a unique situation.
I had to find out through TikTok that I no longer can get my retainers. The teeth that I paid for and adjusted through plastic that literally hurt so much, I can't keep them.
I've been using Smile Direct Club to straighten my teeth. They're almost all the way straightened. I needed an extension, so I had my scan today. I drove 30 minutes to the place. There's no one here. And I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy, because I just seen a TikTok last night that said Smile Direct Club shut down overnight. But I'm like, that's not possible because I just talked to them a couple days ago and I had an appointment today. That's not possible. It's just, misinformation on TikTok. There's no one here. So I called the Smile Direct Club support line, and it says, unfortunately, they have shut down.
But for now, we'll keep our eyes on this. We'll see if more information comes out. Hopefully. And in the meantime, especially if you're someone who has experience with Smile Direct Club, I'd love to hear from you in those comments. And then, as most of you know, I found Seed's DSO1 over a year ago, which has had a huge impact on my gut health this year. So thank you to the science team at Seed for developing this product and being a fantastic partner and sponsor of the show. Seed's DSO1 is a 2-in-1 prebiotic and probiotic that combines 24 select bacterial strings and a new class of non-fermenting prebiotic compounds. With clinical and scientific studies showing it to support benefits for gastrointestinal function, gut barrier integrity, cardiovascular health, and more. And believe me, I've felt the difference firsthand. Plus, probiotics and prebiotics are a science. It's important that they're developed, manufactured, and vetted with scientific rigor and precision, and Seed is the only one I trust. And with the holidays upon us and all that yummy food that goes with it, it's a good time to start taking care of your gut microbiome. Especially because this month, Seed's offering you beautiful bastards 25% off your first month. You'll receive this 30-day supply refillable glass jar and travel vial. And after that, they send sustainably packaged refills. So y'all just go to seed.com/DeFranco and use code DeFranco25 at checkout to get 25% off your first order of Seed's DSO1 Daily Symbiotic plus free shipping. And then, I can't believe it happened again, but we actually have some good news today. The FDA just announced that they are following the UK's lead and approving gene editing therapies for sickle cell disease. And the two treatments are Casgevy, which we actually just talked about last week, and Lyfgenia. And I'm not going to rehash the whole deep dive we did, I'll link to it. But the broad strokes is that Casgevy uses CRISPR-Cas9 to cut out bad genes and replace them with better ones. It all sounds very science fiction-y, but it actually works. And Lyfgenia is new. I mean, the UK hasn't even approved that yet. And while it also relies on gene editing, instead of using CRISPR, it uses what's called lentiviral vectors, which is really just a fancy way of saying that it uses a family of viruses that are able to insert and modify bits of DNA specifically chosen by scientists. And in both cases, they help the body change the shape of a patient's blood cells. That said, though, there is one main limitation. They're only approved for people above the age of 12. But still, you got the FDA excited about the possibilities. With the director of the Office of Therapeutic Products there saying, sickle cell disease is a rare, debilitating, and life-threatening blood disorder with significant unmet need. And we're excited to advance the field, especially for individuals whose lives have been severely disrupted by the disease, by approving 2 cell-based gene therapies today. And adding, gene therapy holds the promise of delivering more targeted and effective treatments, especially for individuals with rare diseases where the current treatment options are limited. And again, I have to repeat this, part of the reason this is so amazing, these are still incredibly new technologies, meaning that gene editing technology is as bad as it will ever be. And with this, we are just seeing like the scratching of the surface of how meaningful life can be changed for so many people. We just need to, in the meantime, not kill ourselves in other ways and let something good fucking happen for once. Because it really looks, at least in this avenue, that things will only get better from here. And then, the other shoe is dropping right now regarding this whole Harvard, Penn, MIT situation. Which one, if you didn't see my previous video on this, how dare you have a life outside of my videos? But 2, don't worry, this is why God made my annoying ass. I'll give you a top-level TLDR. And then I'll tell you the new stuff because it's big. Because there was this viral clip where they were accused of evading questions, specifically about whether calls for genocide against Jews violated their school's respective codes of conduct. With all 3 essentially responding that it depends on the context and if the rhetoric amounts to a threat or bullying, and arguing with that they have to weigh actions against protections for free speech. So you had some defending them, others going after them, calling for them to resign. And actually, over the weekend, we saw Penn's president, Elizabeth McGill, resigning, notably just one day before the school's board of trustees was set to meet. Possibly she saw the writing on the wall. And that move announced by the board's president, Scott Bach, who said McGill voluntarily tendered her resignation and added, the world should know that Liz McGill is a very good person and a talented leader who is beloved by her team. She is not the slightest bit anti-Semitic. Working with her was one of the great pleasures of my life. And then going on to say that McGill will actually remain in the role until an interim president is appointed. And then after that, she'll still stay on as a faculty member for Penn's law school. But then interestingly, just less than an hour later, Bach also announced that he was resigning. Also, with all this, it definitely needs to be noted that, obviously there's a lot of attention on this situation, but McGill's resignation also comes amid mounting concerns about her leadership. In fact, reportedly, this wasn't her first or only brush with accusations of anti-Semitism. Right back in October, McGill received backlash over a Palestinian literary conference that was supposed to be on the school's campus, an event that reportedly aimed to celebrate Palestinian culture, but was also criticized by people who claimed that some of the invitees had a history of anti-Semitic remarks and behavior. Though you also had others denying those claims, arguing that the people who pushed them were just trying to crack down on Palestinian speech. And ultimately, McGill allowed the event to take place, though her response actually drew backlash from both sides. But all of that taking us to her resignation, and according to the New York Times, this makes her the first university president to step down in connection with the uproars that have engulfed campuses since the Hamas attack and Israel's subsequent invasion of Gaza. And now that there's blood in the water, it's just ramped up the pressure for the presidents of Harvard and MIT to also step down or get fired. Though notably there, MIT's president Sally Kornbluth appears to have the backing of her school's board of trustees, with her having expressed their their, quote, full and unreserved support for her. She's also notably the only one of the three who didn't backtrack on her comments and apologize in some manner. And all of this is Harvard's president, Claudine Gay. She has so far not indicated that she's going to resign, though this also before a meeting of the board that could decide her fate. And while she too has faced a ton of calls for resignation or termination, there's also a huge group of people who have rallied to her defense, Harvard faculty. And that in the form of a petition that urges, in the strongest possible terms, to resist political pressures that are at